Hello, welcome to the channel. Have you ever made fire cider before? Well, it's totally magic, it's totally vegan, and it's totally healing. Stick around, I'll show you how I make it. It's super easy. One of the key aspects of vegan witchcraft is that we use plant magic to heal or to support our immune system, to regenerate, to grow, and sometimes just to comfort. One of my favorite things to do for all of those things is to make fire cider. So this is sort of like an annual tradition. You make it around end of the year time so that when flu and cold season really picks up, then you have this nice little booster. Now I am going to just show you how I make it, and honestly I don't have a there are a few things that I always have to have in it, but honestly I don't have a set recipe because sometimes I just go with what whims I'm feeling that day. But I will recommend this book by Rosemary Gladstar. Rosemary Gladstar has run a herbal garden and learning center in Vermont for decades and decades, and she's still alive, and she is just really inspirational. I really enjoy her stuff. She's not vegan, but a lot of these recipes are easily veganized if they're not already vegan. But basically she put out this book on fire cider some years ago because this is sort of a people's folk medicine, and there was an effort to try and copyright that and prevent people from making and trading and selling it. So she put out this book to sort of get the information out there. And really that is at the heart of a lot of herbalism, is that this is a sort of easily available folk medicine that had been supporting people for centuries. And it's only been recently, in the past 100 to 100 and 150 years ago, that we started to see a move away from the herbal healing and towards more pharmaceutical stuff, which in certain cases is helpful, but in other cases has lots of nasty side effects. It relies invariably on killing and harming animals through vivisection, animal testing, which is required for pharmaceuticals the world over. And also, it's very expensive. I'm fortunate to live in the UK where we have our pharmaceuticals are subsidized. But in the United States, like, it can be prohibitively expensive. The other thing, so that's one of the reasons that herbalism has really been stamped out, because it's accessible, it's usually very low cost, and you don't have to rely on big pharma in order to access healthcare. Again, this is not to denigrate pharmaceuticals because they can be very important. So I guess what I'm meaning here is that herbalism has become quite politicized, and only recently now is there an effort to revisit some of these herbal remedies and herbal medicines, because by the way, a lot of pharmaceutical science actually comes out of the plant world anyway. So there's been more recently, in the past few decades, a revisiting of herbalism to see what we can learn from that. One of the other very important acts of resistance that herbalism can offer us is that it is preventative in a lot of cases. So one of the ways that Big Pharma maintains itself is through focusing on what is broken or creating new ailments where there were none before in some cases, but really focusing on once it's broken, then let's fix it. Whereas holistic medicine is more like, let's try and prevent getting sick in the first place. So first and foremost, veganism, a plant-based diet, is really important for reducing illnesses and other ailments. But we can also bump it up a notch, can't we, and introduce some particular herbal blends that can support our immune system to help us prevent getting sick, and if we do get sick, to lessen the effects of that. So again, this is really important. We know that, like in the United States anyway, that doctors don't even get nutritional training. They're only trained to fix things after they're broken. They're not trained to prevent them from breaking in the first place. So it's really, really important for us to take some initiative then and try and take care of ourselves and prevent ourselves from getting sick and having to then deal with the nasty consequences of that. There's a few herbs and ingredients that I'm going to show you today that are known to actually support the immune system. So this book has many, many recipes, and I do highly recommend that, but frankly, the sky is the limit with how you want to proceed with this, because there's really some basic ingredients. Number one, the first ingredient that you should be using is fresh horseradish. Fresh is important. Dried horseradish does not have the kick to it. When I lived in the United States, was able to find fresh horseradish, but now that I'm living in the UK, it's nearly impossible. I've only found it once in the 7 years that I've lived here. So years ago, when I started doing fire cider once a year, I decided I would try and grow my own. Well, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that my garden is quite pitiful because I live in city center. I don't have any grassy area. I only have a patio, a brick patio. So I've been trying to grow horseradish out of these containers. And horseradish, you actually have to buy, and it's not cheap, by the way. I've tried twice now, had to buy like root plugs, and you plant the root plugs, and then that will eventually turn into a plant. So I have been in the middle of this project for many years now. I've been trying for 6 years to get horseradish to grow, and you can't harvest it on the first year. You have to let it establish a bit. Well, I don't even remember, but finally, this summer, I realized, what is this plant here? I don't remember what it is. The snails really like it. They like to live on it and eat on it. And it dawned on me, that looks like it might be horseradish. Aha! And I did pick the root a little bit, and yeah, it was horseradish. But it is a baby horseradish. I hope that it's not just 1 year old. I think the last time I planted horseradish would have been 2 years ago. So hopefully I'm not destroying the plant by harvesting a little bit. I didn't pull up the whole plant. I just pulled up a little. And because I'm making fire cider in a smaller size, because I'm the only one that drinks it, my partner's not going to come anywhere near it. He's not into this kind of stuff. I only got 2 small roots off of my horseradish plant. This is vegan witchcraft in action. By magic, now I have created my own stash of horseradish. So that is really key. That's the fundamental ingredient to fire cider. And the other main ingredient is apple cider. Apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is known for all kinds of different home remedies, and is good for your digestion, it's good for your skin and hair, it's good for inflammation. And because it is a vinegar, it is a preservative, and it's going to draw out all the good things from the ingredients we put into the jar, and it will keep everything safe to consume. The other main ingredient that you will often find in fire cider is going to be fresh garlic. We know that garlic has anti-inflammatory properties. It's antibacterial. It's also antiviral. So people who have cancer have also eaten garlic to find some relief. You need to macerate that, chop that up so that it can be released into the fire cider. So that is a non-negotiable. You have to have your garlic in there. Another one that we see quite a lot is ginger. Ginger, like garlic, has anti-inflammatory, it's good for your gut. And the other thing is usually you're going to find some peppers, some hot peppers. Hot peppers also, although they're miserable to eat, they help with inflammation and are really good for your system as well. And in addition to the horseradish, they will give you a big, and the ginger, by the way, which is quite spicy, it will give you a good kick. And so if you are sick and you're upping your dose of fire cider, it will help to clear out your sinuses, honestly. Then you can add other stuff in there. So I've added some things that I know will support these types of things. So I've added hibiscus, which is good for combating, it's like an antioxidant. I'm also adding some haws from hawthorn tree, some haws. That's good for your heart and circulation. Why not? Throw that in there. I've put some peppercorns in here as well. I am out of fresh black peppercorns, but I did have a whole bunch of Szechuan ones, and they are super spicy, so they will definitely get the job done. So I've thrown some of those in there. Something else that I did with this recipe is I just went through the garden and picked some of the herbs. And these are commonly used in fire cider. I'm not completely off the wall here. Rosemary, because rosemary has antibacterial properties. And it's also quite pungent and fragrant, and it has a bit of a kick to it. Thyme has antibacterial properties. So all these things can be very helpful as a magical brew to ward off colds and flus, or at least reduce the symptoms, and at the very least open up your sinuses for a bit when you take a shot. The other thing that a lot of people add in is turmeric. And when I was at the Whole Foods store the other day, forgot to get fresh turmeric. I have powdered turmeric, but I think it's been quite denatured, and it, after a while it kind of goes off. I just use it for when I make curries. The fresh turmeric is really where it's at, and turmeric also is an anti-inflammatory. And all of these things, like a lot of these ingredients, by the way, are high in vitamin C as well. And you can add elderberry. A lot of people add elderberry to boost the vitamin C. Some people add lemons to that. And the last ingredient is an onion. That usually is pretty common in most recipes. And I did not have a white onion on hand. All I had was red onions and shallots. And so I went with a red onion because it's a bit spicier, I guess. But onions are also milder than what a garlic clove would do, but nonetheless, it does similar things. So this is a very savory, spicy mix. So basically, you just put all these things in the jar, fill it up with apple cider vinegar. Make sure it's raw. The raw apple cider vinegar has not been denatured and has not been processed, so you have some more of the good gut stuff in there. And you just leave it for about 6 weeks in a cool, dark place. And then after that time, you strain out all the food bits until you have like a clear apple cider vinegar mix. And it will have a savory flavor to it. So that means that you can add it to different foods. You shouldn't cook it, because if you cook it, you're going to kill off all the nice things that we've worked to pull out from all the plants and vegetables. But you can put it in salad dressings. You can sprinkle it into your soup. You can also take a shot of it. Usually what people do is when they take a shot of it, and this is to boost you should take it like once a shot a day, basically, be it in soups or in your salad dressing or whatever, or as a shot. You should do about it once a day. But if you're going to do it as a shot, you should probably dilute it with some water, because if you continuously are taking apple cider vinegar into your mouth, you can start to erode the enamel on your teeth. So what I like to do then is mix it in with food. It's a lot easier to do. But sometimes I really want to go pick me up, and then I will add some water to it and do it as a shot. Let me show you what last year's looks like. I have some left from last year. So there, very unassuming, looks like any old jar of apple cider vinegar. But it's potent. It's very garlicky, very horseradishy. This I used dried horseradish with. I had to buy a horseradish dried online because I just could not find any, hence the whole debacle and having to grow my own. I don't think that dried is as good, but after it sits in there for a few weeks, it will start to pull out the horseradish flavor. You got to make do, I guess. So there it is, and I highly recommend it. It's super easy to do. Really, the main ingredient is apple cider vinegar, the horseradish, the garlic, the ginger, and the peppers. And you can add any other herbs that you want to add in there to achieve certain things. So if you tried it, if you've ever had fire cider before, comment below and let me know. If you're planning to make it, let me know how it goes. I'd be very intrigued by that. I do recommend picking up this book. It's a really beautiful read, and it talks about the social justice aspects of herbalism and reclaiming our access to nature's medicine, basically.